All right, we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTK.com. So, Ira, I heard we have a special listener during this time of the show.
That's right, Sam. Between this little window here around 8:30 to 8:45, we have one young, tough Chad Carr listening to us on the air. And I played this a couple hours ago. It made its radio debut, but yesterday it was released to us, the superhero theme song for Chad Carr. You can go to iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, other places to download this song that was written for Chad Carr by Ariel, Zoe, and Eli of Ariel and Zoe and Eli 2 fame, the local TV show. And so while he was playing and while he's driving on his way to treatment today, we thought on the air we would play another time the superhero theme song for one Mr. Chad Carr. And pay attention, you can hear a few cameos in there from, say, his grandfather, Lord Carr's in there, Frank Beckman's in there, the Michigan men's basketball team is in there. So pretty cool deal. Here is the superhero theme song for Chad Carr. Of course, you can always get more information at GoFundMe.com/ChadTough if you want to help support the Chad Tough Fund as well.
When darkness abounds and lightning strikes, there is one superhero with the strength, the courage, the power to save the day. His rallying cry can be heard round the world.
As the night goes on and the fog rolls in, the thunderstorm about to begin, a scary silhouette comes into view. The sky too dark to see his face, all our hearts begin to race, but suddenly a flash of amazing blue.
Play of the game, they need a touchdown to win it. Chad Tough receives the ball deep in the end zone. He's coming out. He loses him with it at the 10. Shakes off Flex Lee from the 20. What a move on the Green Goblin. Chad Tough at the 50. 1 minute to beat. He jumps over Sabretooth to the single bound. He might go all the way. He's going to go to the house. Touchdown, Chad Tough.
Our Superman, our perfect storm, our Hulk, our Flash, our mighty Thor. There's one that we call and it's to
All right, guys, and that song is also available on YouTube. You can watch the video on YouTube and support the cause. Again, GoFundMe.com/ChadTough, or you can download the song on iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, and other places as well. And
that was outstanding. He scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he beat the Green Goblin and Sabretooth. All he needed to run by was Marcus Ray, and I'm sure he could have done that too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so, Lloyd had a little Vincent Price.
Didn't he,
Vincent Price to him, didn't he?
Lloyd might have been in the wrong profession. They should be doing voiceovers. Man.
All right, 8:36 on a Wednesday morning here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTK.com. So, Marcus, we have you for a few minutes more as we're talking about Michigan State. So, keys for Michigan. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's a game outside of the X's and O's in this battle between Michigan and Michigan State. Is there not a mental aspect to this?
Yeah, the whole thing about playing Michigan State right now is if you walk in there and believe you can win and truly fight back and don't and get over in your mind that you're playing a team that's been pretty good the last few years. Michigan State, the whole game is going to come down to the mental aspect of it because physically Indiana was right there with them. Okay, for at least one half. But Indiana's still Indiana. So eventually they're going to wear down. And same thing with Purdue. They gave Michigan State all they can handle. And Purdue, we know, has not been a successful offense or defense. But mentally, Purdue told themselves, we can beat these guys. Nebraska figured it out in the fourth quarter. See, what's happening with Michigan State? is as the seasons go on, as these games go on, each team is showing something different. They're exposing something different. And it might be that team from Columbus or this team from Ann Arbor that goes in there mentally and just says, you know what, this is still Michigan State.
You make it sound like they're getting away with something.
They're getting away with murder. Michigan State's getting away with murder, which means they're out here killing people, but don't really got a lot of killers. And the Big Ten is just sitting there watching, letting them get away with it. Like, wow. You mean to tell me with Ed Davis, Tywan Jones in the middle, they're still beating people when they're facing teams that should be running the ball down their throats? They're getting away with murder because they're not that good this year. And I picked them to win the Big Ten championship earlier. I said even if they got in the Final Four, they may make some noise, but they don't stack up with those teams in the SEC West. And there's some teams in the Big Ten that if they just turn that mental confidence or that cup of courage, drink it and believe it, you can go in there, you can beat Michigan State. And the team from Columbus has the talent to do it. But this team from Ann Arbor has the tradition. See, if I spoke to the team this week, I would tell them, listen, when you walk into that stadium, take it over. You're still Michigan and they're Michigan State. That's the bottom line. Yeah, they've been hot the last 4 years. I give Coach D'Antonio and the guys all the praise. But I'm not sold that the skirt hasn't been lifted. Everybody see what they're working with. Now it's time to do something about it. But you got to have the horses, or you have to have those type of kids on your roster mentally who just have that forget it mentality. I don't care about no defense, about no Rose Bowl. Michigan State has the championship belt, okay? But to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And it's going to have to happen in their house, but they're getting away with murder because they're killing people, but they're not real killers.
Wait, he just said to be the man, you have to beat the man, but there's no woo!
Woo! Ric Flair, baby. Only the horseman.
Well, you know, I harken back to, I want to say it was 2011 when you had a 1-6 Michigan basketball team going up facing some real bullies in the Michigan State Spartans of the Hardwood. And it was much the same ilk. You know, the interesting thing about that is you had a team that, despite the circumstances, had a belief and was extremely loose. And the thing that stuck out to me about that particular instance, they didn't travel up to Michigan State the night before. They traveled day of. I remember that the team kind of being delayed getting in. They showed up about 45 minutes before tip because it was a snowstorm. And when they got on the court, it was like, let's go. I mean, it was just no time to even let the intimidation creep in your mind. They got on the floor. And from tip to buzzer, I mean, it seemed like a different mentality. Now they had some horses mentality wise on that team, like Zach Novak, that helped will them through. But I think part of winning that game was how they came into it that day.
Yeah, Sam. See, that all makes sense. Lloyd used to tell us whenever we played against Ohio State, listen, we're not a better football team. We are not a better football team than Ohio State, but we can win if we do A, B, and C. And then once the team believed in that, or you created a circumstance where it's uncomfortable, or you start to rattle the cage of the players, all you need them to do is be great for 60 minutes. And in basketball, it's 40 minutes. That's all you have to be better than this team is for 40 minutes of your life right now. And that's just the way it goes. But as I look at this Michigan State team and how you go back to it, they are the Big Ten bullies. But they're still a bully, which means every bully has some weaknesses that they don't want you to get to or they don't want you to know about. And when you see a bully, and for a long period of time in school, and they keep punking you, next thing you know, when you fight back and punch that bully in his mouth, he folds. And that's who Michigan State is. Nobody has been able to step up and swing that punch and expose that bully's weaknesses. But except for Oregon, they did it because they have horses. They have to have the horses to run that race.
All right, last one for you, because I know we got to get out of here, Marcus. We talked a lot about things you can exploit with them on defense. What about the Michigan State offense? It's high-powered. It's more potent. Now, I think, I've been comparing them to how they finished this year. I thought Michigan State was outstanding offensively at the end of last year, both passing and running. They don't seem to me to be as potent a run team as they were at the end of last season. But throwing the football, Marcus, they seem a lot better.
Yeah, well, they have all day to throw the ball because everybody's scared to blitz Michigan State because of the Lippett factor. They have Kings, they have Burbridge, they have Mumfrees. I mean, they do have some talent on the offensive side as far as the wide receivers, and they have a good running back. Their offensive line is pretty solid, but you can rattle Connor Cook. I saw him throw the ball right to a guy against Indiana, so you can confuse him. He's still Connor Cook. That means he's pretty good, but if you force him to move out of that pocket and throw the ball on the run, sometimes he has success. But I think if you can get to him and rattle him and blitz him, but you got to be able to cover those receivers man to man. Man to man and blitzing is going to hurt Michigan State. And that's what you have to be able to do.
Well, but man to man and blitzing hurt Michigan versus Rutgers, right?
But see, here's the thing. It don't matter, Sam, because you better go in there and empty out your defensive playbook. And I'm going to tell Greg Madison that today when I see him. You go in there and you leave it on the field. Call what you need to call. Don't sit back and let the bully just swing at you. You got to fight back. And so what? It's either feast or famine. Either we're going to sack you or you're going to throw the ball over my head. And if we lose, we were supposed to lose anyways. But at the same time, you got to blitz and get those linebackers downhill. Get Jake Ryan doing what he does best, which is playing downhill. When his hand was on the ground, he didn't think. He was just up the field guy. Give him one gap to hit. Send those backers. Use your young secondary. Lock these guys up. Play man-to-man. And then force Michigan State to throw the screen and run a draw. Michigan State don't even run the screen because they don't have to because they're never under pressure. See, screens slow down a pass rush. Draws, they slow down a pass rush. Everybody's afraid of Michigan State because they're putting up 45 points a game or whatever it is. Bring the fight to them and force Connor Cook to throw the ball 35 to 40 times. That means you got to stop the run. We know Langford has his little 100-yard streaks and all that stuff. He's a good back. Nick Hill, that's the guy you better watch out for because he's playing with that chip on his shoulder. He may be the guy to single-handedly win this game just because he's playing on a different stratosphere right now. But force Connor Cook to beat you. You can't give up any big plays to Michigan State, okay, vertically. You know they're going to come with some trick plays, some reverses. And you know what? I like watching Michigan State play, but I do know their weaknesses. I do think that if Greg Madison really dials it up and those kids execute, blitz, do what they do to you. They send A-gap blitzes and twists and zone blitzes and all that, trying to confuse your line. Throw it right back at them. And watch how that game has changed. If Michigan just shows up and punches and fights back, at the end of the day, somebody going to crack. Woo-hoo.
Great stuff.
Y'all gonna learn today, baby.
Rays of light.
We'll get more rays of light from Marcus Schrader about 5:30 this afternoon. Sam.
Yeah, Marcus, maybe in a different time without an FCC, we could actually play that song.
Right.
Well, we got to get to a break. We're going to talk to Michigan swimming and diving coach Mike Bottom on the other side. Stay tuned here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, the official voice of University of Michigan.